So a lot of people don't realize that when we are stressed, we create a physiological reaction where we release adrenaline. And over time, that triggers the release of cortisol. And cortisol over time actually creates cravings for fats, carbs, and sugars. No wonder when we're stressed, we want to eat chips and cookies and fried food and pizza, because that is the impact of cortisol in our bodies over time. And over time, that leads to weight gain. It leads to increased risk for elevated blood sugars and diabetes and so on. And inflammation in the body, which then, the inflammation then is linked to leptin resistance, which is where you don't feel full even when you've had enough to eat. So to the lady in the beginning who commented that she really struggles with portion control, especially when she's stressed, this could be a big thing for you, where you have elevated cortisol a lot of the time due to chronic stress. And then that causes weight gain, it causes blood sugar levels rising, and it causes inflammation in the body, which then contributes to leptin resistance, which means that you feel hungry even when you've had, which means that you don't feel satisfied even when you've had enough food. So then portion control becomes really hard. So who is in that boat? Who relates to what I just said? You feel like, Marianne says me, yeah, I think maybe it was you in the beginning. Recognize myself, says Helene, I'm in that boat so much. So the good news is, again, you don't need to be superwoman and rely on discipline and willpower. I actually instead want to focus on helping you reduce the stress reaction in your body. And then what will happen is you reduce stress, you reduce cortisol, and you will actually find that your cravings for fats, sugars, and carbs goes down. You will reduce inflammation. You will start to reverse leptin resistance, and then you will start to have weight loss. It's a beautiful thing, right? It's so good just from reducing stress. And so I've told ladies in the group before, and I'll tell you again in case you haven't heard it, that for me personally, even when I started really eating the homemade method way, before the homemade method existed, for a few years, when I was really starting to focus on cooking and eating whole natural foods, I still struggled with binge eating until I really dealt with my stress. And I dealt with my stress personally with meditation. I really committed to it I actually did 20 minutes a day at the time. And I really committed to that. And not only did my binge eating go away, but it went away forever, even when I stopped the meditation. But I did the meditation 20 minutes a day, just breathing. No guidance, just sitting there and breathing for 20 minutes with my eyes closed or open, whatever. But I did that for, I don't know if it was 6 weeks or 9 weeks, but it was quite a while. And I was very, very consistent with it. I might have missed 1 or 2, but I pretty much did it. But not only did the binge eating go away, but it went away forever, which is a pretty great return on my investment of effort for that. So you do not need to necessarily meditate for your stress release. There's other things, like, for example, when you feel joyful, you release oxytocin. So say you give someone you love a hug, or you exercise, or you work in the garden, or for me, actually cooking is a thing that brings me joy. Then you release this hormone oxytocin, which is another thing that helps reduce cortisol levels and stress response in your body. And it helps trigger your parasympathetic nervous system.